When the world is asleep and the lights are off, when there's no applause, no recognition, no one around to validate your effort, that's when the true test begins. It's easy to be motivated when the world is watching. When you've got the crowd cheering, the spotlight on you, when the rewards are visible, and the dream feels close enough to touch. But what about when no one is watching? What about the silent hours before dawn when the only thing keeping you going is your belief, your discipline, and your commitment to something greater than yourself? This is where winners are made, not in the grand moments, not in the moments that get recorded and shared, but in the unseen, uncelebrated, invisible hours when you show up for yourself, when you fight for your vision, when you choose to be great even when the world is too busy to notice. Think about Thomas Edison. When he was developing the light bulb, he didn't have an audience. There was no applause for the hundreds of failed attempts, no cameras to capture his frustration, no fans cheering for him when he spent hours and hours alone in his workshop, testing filament after filament. But he kept going. Why? Because, in his mind, the vision of what could be was greater than the momentary discomfort of failure. He kept going when no one was watching because he believed. Believed not in the immediate result, but in the inevitable outcome. Winners don't need external validation to keep moving forward. They don't need the world to approve of their actions. They're driven by something deeper. They understand that the true reward lies in the work, not in the recognition. It lies in the process, in the sweat and sacrifice that happens when no one is looking. Look at Abraham Lincoln, a man who failed time and time again in politics. He lost elections. He faced crushing rejection. He was called names, ridiculed, and dismissed as a failure by many. But did he quit? Did he give up when no one was around to encourage him? No. He fought for what he believed in silently, relentlessly, quietly preparing himself for the day that history would finally see him as one of the greatest leaders the world has ever known. The world didn't know Lincoln's struggles. They didn't see him lose. They didn't see the countless nights he spent alone, questioning whether his efforts would ever pay off. But the greatness he achieved didn't come from moments of applause. It came from the quiet, unseen hours when he refused to give in, when he refused to let the world's doubt become his own. His greatness was built in the silence. And that's the first principle winners live by. Winners think and work in silence, away from the eyes of the world. They don't wait for someone to tell them they're doing the right thing. They trust their own vision and their own drive. They make their moves not for validation, but because they know that greatness isn't achieved through recognition. It's achieved through consistent, unwavering effort. But here's the catch. Most people fail before they even start. And they fail precisely because they can't handle the silence. They can't handle the loneliness of pursuing a dream that isn't yet visible to anyone else. They need the applause. They need the acknowledgement. They need the validation to keep going. And that's where they get stuck. The second principle of how winners think when no one is watching is, winners are comfortable with discomfort. They know that the road to greatness is paved with discomfort, with moments of doubt, with times when it seems like no one cares. No one notices, and no one believes in you. Do you think Henry Ford's first attempts at mass production were met with applause? No. He faced rejection, skepticism, and obstacles at every turn. But he persisted. Why? Because he was comfortable with discomfort. He wasn't looking for the approval of others. He was focused on his goal, on the bigger picture, on the dream that no one else could see yet. He knew that the discomfort was part of the journey, a necessary part, and he embraced it. And so it goes for you, too. If you want to win, you have to be willing to embrace discomfort. You have to be willing to do what others aren't willing to do. You have to put in the time when no one is watching. You have to show up when the rewards are far away. You have to work with a fire inside of you, knowing that the only approval you need is your own. And when the world finally sees what you've been working on, It won't just be the result that amazes them, it will be the commitment, the sacrifice, the unseen effort that got you there. The third principle of winners is the power of belief. And this belief isn't about wishful thinking, it's about unshakable faith in your own vision. Even when the world tells you it's impossible, even when you can't see the outcome. Winners don't need proof to believe. They believe first, and the proof follows. Take the Wright brothers. When they first decided to build a machine that could fly, they weren't backed by investors. They weren't supported by society. They were ridiculed. They were laughed at. People told them they were wasting their time, that flight was impossible. But the Wright brothers believed, not just in the idea of flight, but in their ability to make it happen. And in the quiet hours, when no one was watching, they worked relentlessly. They kept experimenting, they kept failing, but they kept believing. And when their dream finally took flight, it was not just a triumph of engineering. It was a triumph of belief. Winners understand that belief is the foundation of success. Without it, the road is too long, the journey is too tough, the obstacles are too many. But when you have belief, you can move mountains. When you believe in your vision with everything you have, you don't need the world to understand you. You don't need the world to validate you. Because belief is the force that propels you through every moment of doubt. But belief is more than just thinking something will work. It's not passive. It's not a wish. It's an active, powerful force that shapes reality. Winners don't just believe they can succeed. They believe that failure is just another opportunity to learn. They don't see setbacks as barriers, but as lessons that refine them, that prepare them for greatness. When you fail, as you inevitably will when the world falls silent and doubts begin to creep in, the winner's mindset says, this is where I rise. This is where I become better. This is where I get stronger. Take the story of Henry Ford once more. Ford didn't build the Model T in a vacuum. He faced opposition, sabotage, and even bankruptcy. Yet, in the quiet moments of despair, he didn't let himself be defeated. He didn't take failure as a sign to quit. He used it as fuel to propel him forward. Ford understood something critical. True belief is forged in adversity. It's easy to believe when the road is smooth, but the test of your belief comes when the road gets rough. That's why Ford was able to create not just a product, but an entire industry. And that's why you can achieve your dreams. 2. Because winners are defined not by the successes they accumulate, but by how they rise after every failure. But belief alone isn't enough. Winners don't just sit back and hope things will work out. They take action. They act when others hesitate, when the odds seem insurmountable. When the path ahead is uncertain, they make things happen. And they act without waiting for someone to tell them they're ready, or for the world to line up in their favor. Think of Theodore Roosevelt, a man who was constantly in action, even when his body was frail and his health was failing him. Roosevelt didn't wait for perfect health or ideal circumstances. He took action when his country needed him most. He led from the front. When the world seemed on the brink of chaos, Roosevelt charged forward with boldness, believing that leadership was something earned in the field, not in the office. And you must do the same. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for things to be handed to you. Don't wait for the applause. The true winner acts now. In the face of uncertainty, the true winner rises with the belief that their actions today will shape their future, no matter how small those actions seem in the moment. Because here's the truth. Success is not a single event. It's the result of countless small actions, compounded over time, done consistently when no one is watching. Success is earned in the moments that no one sees. It's in the early mornings when you push yourself out of bed, in the late nights, when you keep working, in the moments when no one knows the sacrifice you're making. These are the moments that add up. The fourth principle of winners is the power of clarity. Winners are not scattered, they are laser-focused. When no one is around to cheer them on, they still know exactly where they're headed. They have a crystal clear vision of their goal, and nothing distracts them from that path. Do you think Steve Jobs spent his sleepless nights creating the iPhone distracted by other people's opinions? No. He had a vision of what the world could become, and he pursued that vision with relentless clarity. He didn't care if the world thought he was crazy. He didn't need validation. He needed clarity. And this is why clarity is so important. It gives you direction. Without clarity, you wander. You drift. You waste time and energy. But with clarity, every action is intentional. Every step has meaning. Every challenge is just another part of the story, a necessary chapter that leads you to where you need to be. Clarity is what pulls you forward when the world is quiet. It's the unwavering belief in your vision that allows you to keep moving, even when the noise of doubt and fear threatens to drown you. Clarity is the fire that lights the way, even when the world is dark. But clarity doesn't just happen. It is earned. It is the result of deep reflection, of digging into your soul and asking, what do I truly want? What is my purpose? Winners take the time to reflect. They take the time to understand their vision. They don't rush into things without purpose. They decide what they want, and then they pursue it with everything they have. This brings us to the next critical point: discipline. Discipline is the bridge between your vision and your success. Discipline is the tool that turns ambition into reality. Discipline is what keeps you going when the excitement fades, when the initial passion wanes, and when the world has long since moved on to the next shiny thing. It's easy to be disciplined when everything is aligned. It's easy to stay on track when the world is supporting you. But winners are disciplined in the quiet moments. They're disciplined when no one is watching, when no one is holding them accountable, when there are no cameras, no applause. They are disciplined because they understand that success doesn't come from bursts of inspiration. It comes from consistency. Benjamin Franklin, one of history's greatest minds, understood this principle better than most. He made a habit of waking up early every morning and dedicating time to both his physical and mental growth. He believed in the power of small, consistent actions. Franklin didn't wait for motivation to strike. He created a system of discipline that carried him through even the toughest of times. And so must you. Discipline is not a choice. It's a requirement. Without it, you are left at the mercy of your emotions, your distractions, your whims. But with discipline, you gain control. You gain freedom. Freedom to shape your destiny. Discipline is the muscle of your mind. And like any muscle, it grows stronger the more you use it. When you wake up early, when you push through fatigue, when you commit to doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it, that's when you forge your discipline. You aren't born with it. You build it, moment by moment, action by action, choice by choice. This is where most people falter. They wait for motivation. They wait for the stars to align. But the winners, the ones who change the world, they don't wait. They act, even when the conditions aren't perfect. They don't need the world to align for them. They align the world to their vision. And this is why winners don't just act. They act with purpose. They don't just move through life on autopilot. They have a destination, a goal, a mission. Every step they take is intentional, driven by a purpose that guides them through every obstacle. And in that purpose, they find the strength to keep going when others would give up. Purpose is the fuel that keeps you moving when the road gets rough. It's what allows you to see the long-term vision, even when the short-term struggle seems endless. Winners understand that greatness is not a destination. It is a journey. It's a journey of constant growth, constant learning, and constant sacrifice. They sacrifice comfort for progress. They sacrifice the easy path for the path that leads to their greatest potential. Winners don't fear sacrifice, they welcome it. They understand that nothing worth achieving comes without cost. And the price they're willing to pay is the difference between their dreams and the reality they live, it's not about being comfortable. It's about being willing to be uncomfortable now, for the rewards that will come later. This is where the true magic happens. When you embrace discomfort, when you embrace sacrifice, you unlock the power to transform. You stop looking for shortcuts and start building the foundations of real, lasting success. The key to achieving anything in life is not in finding an easier way. It's in building the strength to face the hard way and choose it every single time. But it's not just about sacrifice. Winners also understand the power of gratitude. You may think that gratitude has no place in the pursuit of success. But I assure you, it's one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. Gratitude is the force that keeps you grounded. It's the anchor that prevents you from losing yourself. In the pursuit of your goals, gratitude allows you to appreciate every small step forward, every lesson learned, and every failure along the way. Because winners don't see failure as defeat, they see it as a lesson, a necessary part of the journey. If you can cultivate a sense of gratitude even in the face of setbacks, you'll be unstoppable. The world may knock you down, but gratitude will help you rise every single time. And with each rise, you grow stronger, wiser, more capable of achieving everything you've ever dreamed. Look at someone like Franklin D. Roosevelt. He led the United States through some of its darkest times, through the Great Depression and World War II. But even when the world seemed to crumble, Roosevelt maintained a sense of gratitude and hope. He never let these circumstances define him. Instead, he used them as fuel to inspire his people to rally them to a higher purpose. He understood that gratitude in the face of adversity is not weakness. It's a form of strength, and that's what winners understand. Gratitude doesn't just help you appreciate what you have. It empowers you to keep going, to keep pushing forward, even when the path is uncertain and the road ahead seems impossible. Gratitude is the mental strength to turn adversity into opportunity, to see every challenge as a stepping stone rather than an obstacle. But here's the truth. Success is not a linear path. It's not a straight line from A to B. It's a winding, unpredictable journey filled with twists and turns, setbacks and comebacks. And the only way to make it through is to stay adaptable. Winners understand the importance of adaptability. They don't cling to their plans or their ideas when they no longer serve them. They adapt. They evolve. They remain flexible in their approach while keeping their eyes fixed on their ultimate goal. This is where the greatest of the great stand apart. Look at someone like Winston Churchill, who led Britain through the horrors of World War II. Churchill didn't have a blueprint for victory. He didn't have a perfect plan. What he had was the ability to adapt when things changed. When circumstances shifted, when new challenges arose, he didn't stick to one plan and hope it would work. He was constantly evolving, constantly adjusting to the needs of the moment, and constantly looking for new ways to achieve his goal. Winners are the same way. They don't fear change. They embrace it. They understand that adaptability is a key to survival, to thriving, to making sure their vision survives no matter how many obstacles arise. But adaptability doesn't come from fear. It comes from confidence. Confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Confidence in your belief that no matter what happens, you will find a way to turn it to your advantage. Confidence that even when the path ahead seems uncertain, you will rise to meet it. Confidence is not arrogance. It's not blind optimism. It's the quiet, unshakable belief that you have the strength, the resilience, and the adaptability to overcome whatever life throws at you. It's knowing that no matter what, you will find a way. This is the mindset of winners, the mindset that says, I will not be stopped. I will not be held back. I will adapt. I will learn. I will grow. And I will achieve my vision no matter how long it takes. And this is the mindset that will carry you through. Because when no one is watching, when the world is silent, it's this mindset that keeps you going. It's this mindset that turns impossible dreams into tangible realities. It's this mindset that transforms ordinary into extraordinary. This is where the greatest minds stand apart. They don't look for external validation because they've learned something fundamental. Your success is not defined by others. The opinions of others, their doubts, their criticisms, their judgments, they don't matter. They are distractions. The only opinion that matters is the one you hold about yourself. The only voice you need to listen to is the one that says, I can do this. I will do this. You see, the world will always try to tell you what you can't do. It will try to impose limits on your dreams. It will try to box you in and force you to settle for less than what you're capable of. But that's not the winner's way. The winner's way is about looking those doubts in the eye and saying, no, I will rise above. I will defy the odds. Winners have an unstoppable drive, a fire that burns so intensely that nothing, not fear, not failure, not the opinions of others, can extinguish it. It's a fire that doesn't need external validation to keep burning. It's an inner conviction that says, this is my time. This is my journey, and no one can take it from me. Take someone like Albert Einstein, a man who, early in his life, was labeled as a failure, someone who was told he would never amount to much. But Einstein didn't listen to the opinions of others. He listened to his own inner voice, and that voice told him, there is something here. There is something I must discover. Einstein didn't need the world's approval. He didn't need to prove himself to anyone. He knew his mission. He had clarity, belief, and discipline. And it was through this unwavering commitment to his own vision that he changed the world. He understood that true greatness doesn't come from external recognition. It comes from the quiet, determined effort to stay true to yourself, even when the world doesn't understand you. And that's the mindset you must adopt. You cannot wait for the world to tell you you're ready. You cannot wait for permission to pursue your dream. You must take control. You must trust yourself, believe in yourself, and act without hesitation. You must let your inner drive propel you forward when the world stands still. But even with all this drive, belief, and discipline, there's one final key that every winner possesses: resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back, to keep going, to keep fighting after you've been knocked down. It's the power to rise again and again, even when the world tells you to stay down. And this is where most people fail. They hit a roadblock, they face a setback, and they decide it's too hard. They decide that their dream is out of reach. But winners understand that resilience is not a choice. It's a necessity. Look at Winston Churchill during the darkest days of World War II. The odds were stacked against him. His country was on the brink of collapse. But Churchill never gave up. He understood that resilience was the cornerstone of survival, not just for him, but for the people he was leading. He famously said, never, never, never give up. And those words became a rallying cry for a nation in turmoil. Churchill didn't just survive the war. He became a symbol of resilience. He showed the world that even in the face of the greatest adversity, one person's refusal to give up can change the course of history. That's what resilience does. It transforms hardship into triumph. It turns obstacles into opportunities. It takes the impossible and makes it possible. And this is why winners are not deterred by failure. They are not deterred by setbacks. They don't see a roadblock as the end. They see it as the beginning of a new opportunity. They keep going no matter what. They understand that resilience is not about avoiding failure. It's about learning from it. It's about finding the strength to rise after every fall and keep moving forward. When you face a challenge, when the world tries to knock you down, remember this: the pain of quitting is far greater than the pain of continuing. You will face hardships. You will face times when it seems like nothing is working. But winners never quit. They keep going because they know that the greatest rewards are often on the other side of the greatest struggles. Resilience is built in the quiet moments. It's built when no one is watching. It's forged in the fires of failure, in the silence of self-doubt, and in the storm of uncertainty. It's the ability to stay committed to your vision, even when it feels like the world is falling apart. And it's this resilience that will carry you across the finish line. But resilience doesn't just mean pushing through the tough times. It means learning and growing from those tough times. Winners are not afraid to learn. They understand that every setback is an opportunity to become better, to become stronger, to become more capable of achieving their dreams. This is the secret of success. Winners never stop learning. They never stop improving. They never stop evolving. They constantly seek ways to refine their skills, to enhance their mindset, to deepen their knowledge. They are always growing, always stretching, always striving to be the best version of themselves. And that's the final key to success. It's not about perfection. It's not about having everything figured out. It's about being willing to learn, to adapt, and to grow. It's about embracing the process, no matter how challenging it may seem, and trusting that every step forward, no matter how small, is a step closer to your dream. So, as you move forward in your own journey, remember, winners think differently. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They don't wait for the world to align. They take action now with clarity, belief, and resilience. They keep going when others stop. They keep learning when others get complacent. And above all, they understand that success is not about the destination. It's about the journey of becoming who you were always meant to be. The winner's mindset is not just a choice. It's a commitment to rise, to learn, and to adapt. A commitment to face the darkness of doubt and fear with unwavering belief in yourself. A commitment to show up day after day when no one is watching, knowing that the only thing that matters is your dedication to your vision. So, when you face challenges, when the world is silent, when no one is cheering for you, remember this: you are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are in the process of becoming the greatest version of yourself. And that, my friend, is the mindset of a true winner. Now, as you stand on the precipice of your own journey, remember this: you are not defined by your past failures, but by your future actions. The world may not see what you're building right now, but that doesn't mean it's not valuable. In fact, it's often the quietest moments, the unseen hours, the struggles you face alone, that shape you into the person capable of achieving greatness. You don't need validation from the world. You don't need the applause of the crowd. You need the strength to keep going when there's no one around to witness your efforts. You need the resilience to rise after every fall, the belief to keep moving when the road seems unclear, and the clarity to understand that every step, no matter how small, is a step closer to your dream. The greatest achievers in history were not the ones who waited for everything to align perfectly. They were the ones who kept moving even when the world doubted them. They knew that success wasn't a moment. It was a process. It was a result of consistent, persistent effort over time. They understood that the journey was the reward, and that every challenge, every obstacle, every setback was just another lesson to be learned. Think of the pioneers, the innovators, the creators, the leaders, those who changed the course of history. They didn't wait for things to be easy. They didn't wait for the world to give them permission. They forged ahead with unwavering conviction, knowing that they were destined for greatness, even when no one else could see it. And so must you. You must keep going, not for anyone else, but for yourself, for the dream that burns within you, for the vision that keeps you up at night, for the purpose that calls you forward. You are the one who determines your path. You are the one who defines your future. You are the one who decides how this story ends. The world will tell you that you can't. The world will tell you that it's too hard, that you're not good enough, that you'll never make it. But winners ignore those voices. They know that the true power lies within. They know that their success is not determined by external circumstances, but by the fire that burns inside them, the fire that refuses to be extinguished. And you, too, have that fire. It's time to unleash it. It's time to trust in your own vision, to believe in your own power, and to take action, even when the world isn't watching. The true test of greatness isn't when the applause is loud, but when the silence is deafening. And you still rise. You must stand firm in your belief, knowing that every challenge is an opportunity, every failure is a lesson, and every setback is just a stepping stone to success. You are capable of more than you know. You are destined for more than you imagine. This is the power of the winner's mindset. It is the power to see beyond the present, to trust in the process, to embrace the struggle, and to keep moving forward no matter what. So, when the world is silent, when the applause has faded, when no one is watching, that is when you become the person you were always meant to be. That is when your true strength is revealed. And that is when your success begins to unfold in ways you never thought possible. The winner's mindset is not about the end result. It's about the person you become in the process. It's about showing up again and again for yourself. It's about fighting for your dreams, even when it seems impossible. It's about trusting that the work you're putting in now, in the unseen hours, will one day be the foundation for something great. So keep going, keep believing, keep pushing forward. You're not just building a dream, you're building yourself. And that's how winners think when no one is watching.